All right, let's dive into some ancient wisdom that really gets to the heart of one of life's biggest questions. What's the point of it all? We're going to explore a perspective on where true, deep understanding actually comes from.
You know that feeling, right? Like you're running on a treadmill, putting in all this effort, but you're not actually getting anywhere meaningful. It's this sense that you're missing something important, something deeper. Well, that's exactly the feeling this ancient text gets right into. And right away, we get this pretty intense observation from Krishna. It basically says, hey, a lot of people are searching, but only a tiny fraction ever really find what they're looking for. It suggests the path to real understanding isn't exactly a crowded highway. So, why is it so tough? What's the big hurdle? To figure that out, we've got to go back to the very beginning. The text tells us that to find any real meaning, you first have to understand the foundation of, well, everything. So at the heart of this whole thing is this really beautiful idea. Everything you see, everything you feel, everything that exists, it all springs from one single unified divine source. It's not a bunch of separate pieces, it's all part of one interconnected reality. And when we say everything, what do we mean? Well, it gets broken down into these three pillars. You've got matter, which is all the physical stuff in the world. Then there's spirit, which is the spark, the life force that animates it all. And finally, there's consciousness, the pure awareness that's experiencing this whole show. And all three, according to the text, flow from that one single source. Okay, so if this truth is so fundamental, why don't we all just see it? Why isn't it completely obvious? Well, the text points to a very, very common problem. We get lost in all the noise. And here's the thing. Our attention, our focus, it just gets hijacked. We get totally wrapped up in things that, let's be honest, don't last. Our careers, the stuff we own, our ambitions for the future. And look, these things aren't bad, but they can act like a fog, distracting us from that deeper, more permanent reality. Just think about where our energy goes on a daily basis. It's totally lopsided, right? This huge chunk of our focus is poured into temporary wants and worries, leaving this tiny little sliver for seeking that bigger, eternal truth we were just talking about. Which brings us right back to that big question. If we're all connected to this divine source, why is it so hard to actually feel it, to perceive it? Well, the answer comes down to a really important distinction. And that distinction is the massive difference between just knowing about something and truly understanding it. The source calls this the gap between knowledge and wisdom, and it's the bridge we all need to cross. This lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have knowledge. That's the intellectual stuff, collecting facts, reading the books, knowing things about the source. But on the other side, you have wisdom. That's a deep, personal, direct experience of the source. It's the difference between looking at a map of the ocean and actually diving in. So how in the world do you get from one side to the other? How do you turn all those facts into real wisdom? The text gives us a secret ingredient, and it's probably not what you'd expect. It isn't about studying harder or gathering more information. The key that unlocks everything is devotion. So then, the path starts to look pretty clear. First, you just have to see the distractions for what they are. Step 2, yeah, you do need to gain that foundational knowledge about the source. But the final, most important step is to balance all that head knowledge with devotion, a kind of passionate, dedicated engagement that turns an abstract idea into a living, breathing connection. Okay, so let's bring this home. What's the real takeaway here? How can we actually use these ancient ideas in our modern busy lives? It really boils down to 3 powerful lessons. First, make a conscious effort to look for meaning beyond the daily grind. Second, always remember that real wisdom isn't just about collecting facts. It's about connecting with the source of it all. And finally, actively try to balance what you know in your head with what you feel in your heart. Because in the end, that's the core message, isn't it? True wisdom isn't some kind of puzzle you can think your way through. It's a state of being. It's a genuine spiritual awareness that plugs you right into the foundation of reality itself. So I'll leave you with this to think about. In your own life, with your own time and your own attention, where's your focus? Is it mostly on the surface level stuff, the distractions? Or are you making space to connect with the source?